We're going to start with a show. I don't know why we're bothering. Is anybody going to care what we say? Listen, this is a show that's going to run forever no matter what we say. But the
Probably,
fact,
yeah.
now, I remember seeing the movie for the first time, and I kept thinking to myself, what is all the fuss about? And my daughter, who I think was 20 at the time, explained, well, you see, Daddy, you're not a 9-year-old girl. But let me tell you, I went to see this, and this is expanded, revised, basically the same creative team, Christian Anderson, Lopez, Robert Lopez, and Jennifer Lee, who did the movie. And it's been expanded, new songs, it's been refined, it's been rewritten, and, well, you don't have to be a 9-year-old girl to enjoy it.
I don't think it needed to be expanded. I think it ran a tad long for what it was. I didn't see any little girls shifting in their seats, and there were plenty of little girls, so I guess this older girl was having a problem with that. But I never saw the movie, and I brought a young lady who was only 12 and grew up with it. It was in her DNA from the time her mother could put it in front of a TV set.
Right.
So she loved it. She didn't want to talk on camera when we were doing our first impression, but she loved it. She said it was the best show I ever took her to, and I took her to a lot of shows. She thought SpongeBob was pretty good too, though. But
so did a lot of people, just not us.
I think. Well, I like
all right.
it. Oh,
You
anyway,
liked it. I was lukewarm.
I think that this, from the pictures I saw from the movie, always, and from the little snippets I saw, absolutely translated the feeling and the characters to the stage. Not the way I wish, but not the way that Julie Taymor did with Lion King, where it was absolutely immersive and wonderful, but very, very well. It really follows very much the script of the movie.
Even though there is no, AIDS is no longer a death sentence, even though we are so much more accepting of the gay community, you have gay marriage now, and the play still has a certain relevance to it, but just as an entertainment piece, just the interest of the characters, the interest in the story,
But you see,
it still holds up.
What's so important about this play is that there's a generation of young gay men who don't even know what it was like, and this play tells them. And this play really tells them. It's the same way Normal Heart did, but I mean,
yes,
it tells them the horror.
But here in a broader sense, of the two plays, I really like Millennial approaches better. It's fresh. The characters are just so amazing, and the story grabs you. The one thing I will say about Perestroika is that it has been rewritten, and I think it's much better. And I think all in all, this is the best production of Angels I have ever seen. I would give Millennium 5 playbills. I would give Perestroika 4 playbills,
which is a total of 9, and I would give the two of them together a total of 10.
This is a middle-aged white couple. They run an elite boarding school, and we see them at the beginning patting themselves on the back because they've quadrupled the number of minority students they have.
Well, actually, she runs the school.
He's the headmaster. She's the head of admissions.
Person, right, I'm sorry. Right. Okay, I got it.
And she's patting herself on the back because they're getting more minority kids in. And then their son, who goes to the school, is not accepted into Yale, but his friend, who is the son of a biracial couple, and is either equally or less qualified, does.
We don't know that. We just know that he gets in, and it's on the basis of race, they think.
So then the question is, what will they do to help their son?
Right.
And that alone, just the monologue delivered by Ben Elderman as the son, he goes, when he's not accepted, he goes into this rant. And it's
amazing.
Long, and it's amazing. We've seen some pretty decent monologues this year.
Yeah. Well, just the acting of it, too, though. Just the writing.
Wow. The writing, the acting, and putting aside the fact that I totally identify with it. I could have given the same monologue 35 years ago. But the relevance, and it's really something I never thought I'd see on a New York stage. It's challenging, it's original, it's not politically correct in step.
But you know what is interesting? It was before the shootings at Parkland, and before the teenage kids came out with this And he's one of them. He's doing it on a personal basis, but he's somebody who has deep, deep feelings and wants to express them and becomes verbal at an age when we're not used to hearing that kind of verbosity from a teenager.
Right. And if the play were to stop there, I'd be pretty impressed. But then Harmon's got more for us, because the son has an epiphany, and he comes up with a solution to his problem that just turns his parents and their beliefs on their heads.
Which is,
And
we don't want to say anymore. It's running. It'll be running.
Overwhelmed by this.
An entertaining play of ideas, and something that we talked about afterwards and thought about and talked about again after.
Right.
So that means so much to have that kind of an experience at the theater.
Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And if you don't know who Harry Potter is, just fast forward, because
There's no point.
There's no point. Now, let me give you an idea of my first impression when I read the play. They released it in book form, and they had a Harry Potter party, and we all went, because my family grew up on Harry Potter. We used to sit around the dinner table doing Harry Potter trivia. We know the books back and forth. We'd go on trips with the Jim Dale recordings. All our Harry Potter books are like tattered, several, copies of them. This one is brand new, because we all read it, and we say, well, this doesn't really feel like Harry Potter.
As far as I'm concerned, are you only talking about part one, or you're talking about the whole
Well, I'm
gestalt
talking about
here?
the whole. Again, part two, I think, really gets better, because we see Harry and Hermione and Ron back in their old roles as we remember them, and kind of reminding us what they're all about.
Given the expense of seeing two parts of this show, I would really say, and I said the same thing for Angels, but for different reasons, I would really say that part two would be the one to see. Because just like a soap opera, they recap everything in the first 5 minutes, and you're right in, and you know exactly who everybody is and what they're doing.
Yeah. And so here is King Kong the musical, which has, well, it's interesting.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
It adheres to the story of the original movie, taking into account that we feel differently about capturing wild animals and putting them on display.
Among other things. Yes.
This is this animatronic marionette. I don't know how.
It's beyond animatronic. It is.
Well, he's also a marionette.
He's a puppet, a marionette. He has strings.
Right.
He has people working his hands and
it's-
articulating his various.
The amount of people working this Kong, I think, is equal to the cast.
Possibly. Well, it's a big
Of-
cast.
of
And
the
then
show.
the face by itself is run by a board which
Right.
allows it to have actual emotional
Yeah.
content.
Well, and
It's
animatronic.
amazing. Well,
And the scenes between him and Pitts are the highlight of the show. And had I left and not seen the second act,
yeah, you would have been happy with
I would have said, this is at least 4 playbills. Why are people? And then I came back
Yeah.
to see the second act. And then there is the climax. He's on the Empire State Building. But, with all the $35 million they spent on this, couldn't they have one plane buzz by him to let him swat it?
Unfortunately, it's Broadway that killed the beast at this point.
Forget
I
that.
would give this 3.75.
So come for the gorilla and stay for the gorilla.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Fiddler on the Roof. Now, you might ask, didn't Fiddler just have a really excellent production on Broadway? And the answer is yes. So why would the Volkswiener be doing it? Well, for one thing, they are doing it a little differently, but strangely adhering to tradition. They are doing it in Yiddish, which is the language that Shalom Aleichem, whose stories form the basis of this musical, wrote them in. This is a translation that I think was originally done in Israel 15 years ago, and I believe this is the first time it's ever been done, certainly in New York.
I'd never heard of it being done in New York.
And it's done off-Broadway with, of all people, Joel Grey, yes, that Joel Grey, directing, and Stas Kimmich choreographing. Now,
Joel Grey was asked to be Tevye.
really?
Yes,
He
and
probably
I
would've
saw
been
him
a
in
good
an
one.
interview, and he said, or you could direct. And he went, I think I'll go that way.
Yeah,
that was
and that was definitely, he puts a subtle but very firm mark on the show. So, we don't have the turntable, but we do have the bottle dance.
Yes, we do have the bottle dance. And
Just such an enjoyable production of it so
You
energetic.
have a really lovely Tevye in
Intimate.
Steve Skybell, too.
Oh, yeah.
Just a lovely, lovely Tevye.
Joyous but grounded. Yes, a little thinner than we normally see Tevye, but so
But
what?
more emotional.
I've seen every major production of Fiddler since the original on Broadway, every major New York production, and this stands with the best of them, I
Well,
think. And I'm giving
I
this
was-
5 playbills.
Okay, yeah, why not? Sure. Jez Butterworth, who also wrote Jerusalem, which won a couple of awards when it was here.
Yes.
And Sam Mendes, who is a very well-known director, have brought us
Yes.
this sprawling, glorious mess of an Irish play with the influences of O'Neill and the influences of John Millington Synge, and if I could be so, John Steinbeck as well. Written by an Englishman, Butterworth is an Englishman, about Ireland in 1981 in the rural countryside in Northern Ireland. And of course, it's just before the IRA starts the bombings. It's at the time of the hunger strikes. But what would you give it?
I think 4 would be appropriate.
It's a 3-hour play. It doesn't feel like 3 hours. It's constantly keeps you, whatever it's doing. And then you think about cliches later. You don't think about them at the time. I would say 4.5. I really liked it a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
A lot?
Yes, a lot.
Smokey Joe's Cafe, the songs of Lieber and Stoller.
And Stoller. And it is just a joy to talk about this show. We walked out, both of us, being very happy about this. The thing that's most amazing is that Lieber and Stoller wrote songs for everybody, and I didn't remember that. And you mentioned, well, I'll let you mention it if you want to, that they also appear in Beautiful.
Well, they are in Beautiful, which is the Carole King musical.
Right. But because it takes place in the building
in that era,
Right.
it just gives you an idea of how important their music was, both to the time and both to aspiring songwriters at that time.
Well, each of the songs is a little one-act play. So there's no storyline per se,
No.
but each song allows one of the members of this extremely talented and unknown cast to shine.
For now, not for much
now.
longer.
But they all have credits. They have
Yes.
credits from The Lion King to Spamilton. So they run the gamut
Right.
of having work. And I want to read all their names before we finish.
Okay.
But I did want to say 2 things. I wanted to say that Buress, I got this wrong, Burgess. Joshua Burgess, I'm so sorry.
The director
very
and
talented,
choreographer.
but he's a choreographer making his directorial debut, and I'm so excited because he's done a marvelous job. He knew enough to stay back. He knew enough to let the stories tell themselves. He knew enough to put the right person in each song. The set is by Beowulf Barrett, and it goes. It's a bar. Obviously, it's got all the little neon, beer signs. But it's got a staircase that goes around and it's circular, and they use
and a lot of old radios.
and the radios that light up because that's where all this music was played, was on those radios.
Right.
So it's set in the right place.
I just want to read off a couple of the songs that you will hear: Jailhouse Rock, Kansas City, then Along Came Jones, Poison Ivy, Smokey Joe's Cafe, Yakety Yak, Charlie Brown on
Love Potion
Broadway.
Number 9.
Love Potion Number 9,
Woman.
Spanish Harlem. I love the cast. I love the little sketches. This is a revival of a show that was on Broadway.
I liked it better this
years
time.
ago. I think I liked it about the same, but
No, I found
maybe.
it to be a standard jukebox musical the first time. I find this to be different, and not that it's not a jukebox musical,
Right.
but the fact that the stories tell themselves, that they're not forcing anything into it. The only forced thing is that they're on a set marked Smokey Joe's Cafe,
Right.
and that's not really forced.
Right, and the thing is about the final 25% of the play, it's really most of them just getting up and singing. They abandoned the story premise.
Well.
And at that point, I still enjoyed the show. I didn't find it as interesting. My friends, are you tired of going to a Broadway musical only to find that it requires thinking? Have you had enough of oh-so-clever lyrics with witty rhymes? Are you sick of musicals dealing with high school angst, or so-called classic revivals where the leading man kills himself, or worse, is merely accustomed to the leading woman's face? Is it your belief that a Broadway musical requires not only a good tap dance number, but an exploding volcano? Well, my friends, have I got a show for you. Oh, what? You mean you don't like musicals based on Nickelodeon sponges? Well, fear not, my friends. We can still help you. Yes, we are here to talk about Escape from Margaritaville. Yes, this is the latest jukebox musical with the music of Jimmy Buffett.
At which point I'm supposed to say you mean Buffett, don't
Well,
you?
and I am supposed to answer, Leslie, what did I say about thinking? Okay, basic plot of this show. Handsome guy who's a slacker, played by Paul Alexander Nolan. Musician working on an island. Really cute, ambitious, and smart girl who's even cuter, played by Allison Luff. Well, guess what? They meet. And of course, each of them has a less cute friend there for comic relief. In this case, Lisa Howard and Eric Peterson.
Now, Lisa Howard was in that wonderful play about the sister at the wedding. Do you remember that? There's a large sister at the wedding and a very tiny, and the mother, you don't remember. Okay.
I think that was about 2 seasons ago.
It was about 2 seasons ago, and she was the breakout star.
Wasn't that the one where he couldn't marry her because he was gay?
Yes.
It was like
that was
the
what the
third
bottom
musical
line
that
was.
season that used that plot device.
But she was the breakout star of that, so she's wonderful. And her boyfriend in this, who's the bartender, who's the plump, pudgy, that guy.
Again, the funnier but not as handsome sidekick friend.
Yes, is Eric Peterson, right?
Yes. And of course, this is based on primarily Escape from Margaritaville, Wasting Away Again in Margaritaville has the Buffett's songs, and if you're I think it's a parrot.
Parrot Head, they call it.
You're gonna like this. Otherwise, it's again. What can you say about a musical that is actually less sophisticated than SpongeBob SquarePants?
Well, it's funny.
Now, to my surprise, this next show wasn't based on Leslie's life. This is Mean Girls.
I was not expecting that. That he just threw that at me. I don't know where that came from. Yes, this is Mean Girls. Truth in that, I went to a girls' high school. I blossomed in high school. I was not with the popular girls. I found the theater group. I found the magazine to write for. I had a great time in high school. I didn't live this experience. So this is not my experience. But it was a long musical for what it was.
Very highly entertaining.
Yeah, and very, very well acted.
I actually liked it better than the movie.
Except
for Lindsay Lohan.
For Lindsay Lohan.
I found this show very entertaining, as did my 20-something daughter and my teenage niece, who both knew the movie.
I was very happy that they were.
And they said this was an improvement. They agreed this was an improvement, more sophisticated, more I think more.
I think your daughter said it wasn't as mean as the movie.
Right. Oh. I'm sorry, is that the Parrot Heads inviting us to dinner?
I think so. We've just been invited out. I'm terribly sorry.
Or maybe it's the Mean Girls who want us to come and sit at their table. Now, this is a wish.
Now, this is a wish.
This is a wish. She's got a bigger one.
Well, I'm not even going to discuss that. This, be still my heart, because this is the musical of the season for me. From the minute the overture started in My Fair Lady, and in the size of the set, and the size of the set in the theater at Lincoln Center, just amazing, amazing, amazing. We have two of the best surprise performances of the season in this show, and they belong to Harry. I'm going to get this right if it kills me. Harry Haddon Payton. I did it.
On the first try.
From Downton Abbey, in the role of Henry Higgins, a young Henry Higgins, not unlike Leslie Howard in the movie, which I saw.
Not My Fair Lady.
No, but I saw Bart Sher talking about this, and he said we went back to the movie. That's what we went to, and that's where we got the image from.
My Fair Lady is really more based on the movie of Pygmalion than the play.
Yes. Yes, so they did the play in a cinematic way. The play has a very cinematic feel. This is actually
more cinematic than the movie with Rex Harrison and Audrey Hepburn. The other actress, Lauren Ambrose.
Lauren Ambrose, whom I adored. We've seen her in the park.
She's actually an older Eliza, although she's still very youthful.
Under 6. When you see her on stage, she looks 25. She looks a little older when you see her on TV, but she has this voice.
Yes. I think I've seen every production of My Fair Lady since starting with the 1975. If I could go back in time and see one play, it would be My Fair Lady with Rex Harrison and Julie Andrews. But I think she has the best singing voice of any actress since Julie Andrews. There are a couple of nitpicks I would have. Is that Peyton does try to sing the Higgins songs rather than talk through them.
Absolutely, and I think
And
it's brilliant.
no,
I think
no.
it's well, you don't like it. I did.
I think it works, with the exception of I've grown accustomed to her face. I think it actually works better.
The music
when
was
you
written
talk
to
them.
be sung. It was spoken because Rex Harrison couldn't sing it.
But you know what? It works
no,
better
so
that
in your
way.
head, that's the way. No, it doesn't.
I
It doesn't.
disagree.
I
And
love
in fact,
hearing
I
him
saw an
sing.
interview with Peyton. He actually said, "I think it may work better if you talk it." So
Well,
go
I
figure,
liked-
go
yeah,
figure why
but
he's
he's
singing.
wrong, because-
Norbert Leo Butz, who I thought would be so amazing, was in the second act. Not disappointing in the first act. I think he may have had an off night because I know he flubbed one of his lines.
Oh.
And I would complain. I would normally take points off for this. In this case, I won't. But several of the numbers were missing verses. With a little bit of luck.
It
and a
got
few of
us
the
out in
others.
2 hours and
You know
and a
what?
half, nonetheless.
I would have been happy to stay and see. But I will tell you, this is the best musical ever written, as far as I'm concerned.
525,600 minutes.
It was the 2018 Broadway Flea Market and Auction. But this year, someone had the great idea to bring a piano. Brought a piano to Broadway. We've never had one here at the flea market.
We did, yeah. We're so happy to be here at the Broadway Flea Market. This is our first year here, although we're not new to Broadway Cares and the Broadway community. So this piano here is one of 50 that Sing for Hope had artists paint this year. We do 50 every year, so it's actually our 450th. So this piano spent the month of June actually just around the corner in Times Square, and now it's on its way to a permanent home in a public school.
As always, the theater community came together to offer some interesting merchandise. What was it like having Supergirl as your leading actress?
We had Melissa Benoist as our Carol King. She was amazing. She was so sweet, so talented, so hardworking. She absolutely loved being a part of our cast, and we loved having her.
And what great items do you have today?
Well, we have these playbills signed by Melissa Benoist. We also have playbills signed by our current cast, kind of from the last year. This is really cool. It is original artwork created by Brian Strumwasser, who works in our hair department. And as you can see, there are only 200 of them made. So these are original artwork, and these are all signed by Jesse Mueller.
We have an assortment of some signed items from some of our writers, including some scripts, some programs, and interviews.
Every year we do a bake sale. As you can see, everything on this table was homemade by either a cast member, a crew member, a stage manager, or an orchestra member.
And it's very convenient because your theater is literally right here. You're standing in front of it.
This is true. This is true.
Okay, now, can I get a pair of ruby slippers at this booth?
Well, we don't have a pair of ruby slippers this year, but we do have these beautiful Glinda shoes right here. Like this. We've sold a bunch of them throughout the day, so we had some pink ones this morning. We've had some good stuff.
Yeah, one of our top sellers today has been these pillows that were made by someone who works in the costume shop out of pieces of the costume. And we've also been selling, you can look over here, the monkey mask, which is the mask that is used by the monkeys in the show. This is the last one that we have.
Do they come with wings?
No, I wish. Oh God, have we ever sold wings?
I don't think so.
I don't think we have either. So keep looking.
Yeah,
Future
keep your
years,
eyes out.
My favorite thing that we have today is this window card from Intimate Apparel, which is a play that Viola Davis did with us back before she kind of blew up into superstardom. So it's really cool to see some stuff kind of from the archives, out and seeing the light of day.
And I see you have something from Skin Tight.
Yes, we have some stuff from Skin Tight, signed by Idina Menzel. We were very excited to work with her this summer on a new play at the Pels.
Our favorite prize possession is Lin-Manuel Miranda's actual Hamilton robe, Right here, going for $500.
And did he actually wear that robe?
Allegedly, he was naked in this said robe. Allegedly. I wasn't there.
In other words, under the robe, he was completely naked.
So they have told us.
I see. Okay.
We are trying to sell stuff for a good cause. So yes, he was naked.
We are particularly honored to be here in honor of Michael Friedman, who passed away last year, and to really support the amazing work of Broadway Cares.
And Michael Friedman was?
And Michael Friedman was an artist who worked with a lot. He is known for Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, Fortress of Solitude, his work with the Civilians, and just an amazing, amazing artist and friend of the public. The thing we're really excited about is that we actually have window cards from Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. We get asked for these every single year. And so we were actually able to reprint some of these just for the flea market for people for this year.
Well, we actually have a brand new poster that's not even sold yet at the theater, signed by the cast. Brand new kind of campaign with the characters all up here for you. We have some signed Pride playbills. We have some signed regular playbills. And then we're actually the first all-female band on Broadway. So we have these awesome drumsticks signed by the ladies of the band. So,
and
yeah.
I see you also have guitar picks.
We have guitar picks because our lead guitarist, Anne Klein, is selling her solo CD right here. And that comes with her own personalized guitar picks with her name is on them. Yeah.
Okay. And you tell me who you are.
Hi, I'm Holly Lasana.
And you're with?
Paper Mill Playhouse. I'm from Millburn, New Jersey.
So you had to come everybody else had to come like across the street. You had to come all the way in from New Jersey.
Absolutely, it's for a good cause.
And it certainly wouldn't be a Broadway flea market without the Bears.
So, hi, I'm Rachel's mom from Rachel of Rachel's Bears. Rachel's 13th year here.
Is that Rachel next to you?
No, this is Rachel's best friend from kindergarten because Rachel got married last night.
Mazel tov.
So we're filling in. And we're selling here, backing up, Erzulie from Once on This Island. And Leia Salonga graciously donated a signed playbill. And her happy new owner is a huge Aarons and Flaherty fan, Ronnie Krasnow.
You just bought this bear.
I did, because Once on This Island is my favorite show of all time. And this is the coolest bear ever. And look at all the detail in her.
And how old was Rachel when she started this?
Rachel was 13 when she started. She's 26 now.
Right. And she's married now?
She's married. She married last night, and she's on her way to Japan for her honeymoon.
And after a long day of flea marketing, how does one unwind? Well, this is Broadway, so you sing, of course. Off key, apparently. I'm Charles Gross.
She was good, you know what I mean. That is our show for the evening. And when you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too.
On the aisle. George Bernard Shaw, whom we talked about in a recent evening about his St. Joan. George Bernard Shaw was an early feminist. He totally believed in the equality of the sexes. His marriage was based on the equality of the sexes. And
he never bothered to consummate it.
Yes, that's the whole point, yes. But anyway, so
that's not equal. That's...
No, that's I know. He was a vegetarian. But anyway, it was...
I didn't realize one came with the other.
Yes, well, you know, and Hitler too. But Hitler was a vegetarian.
You're not promoting vegetarians
no, I'm
very
not.
well.
My kids are all vegetarians, so is my sister.